Well, good afternoon to you. I'm Fox 26 meteorologist John Dawson. Going to jump in here real quick. I'll get you back to Dateline in just a minute or two. We won't miss too much to follow the episode, but I need to bring you the latest on Beryl. Currently a tropical storm, still expected to become a hurricane before it makes landfall early tomorrow morning. So we're really getting down to the last several hours as Beryl will spend time over water and then eventually making its way in and making that landfall. We've got hurricane warnings, tropical storm warnings, storm surge warnings, a lot of different tropical alerts happening across the coast of Texas. We're going to dive into those in a little bit in just a minute, but I do want to point out now that Beryl is close enough to land, our radar can really help us and get an even better idea. The satellites are really useful when they're so far out in the water, but once it gets closer, now we're talking only about 210 miles from Galveston Island is the distance that we're looking at. But remember, we are expecting this track to head more towards Victoria and in the Matagorda Bay area, so it's not really going to be coming due north to Galveston. Just kind of wanted to show you distance-wise what we were dealing with. If you're in the Houston area, you've definitely seen a band of heavy storms that have moved on through. That band is now continuing to move up. We'll continue to see these types of bands through the rest of today and into early this evening. Most of that very manageable, although it might be a 10 or 15 minute wait for some of that really intense rain to kind of run off the roadway a little bit. But we've cleared the downtown Houston area, even cleared the Woodlands, heading up towards Brenham right now. And the folks up in Huntsville, get ready. That's about to come and see you with some stormy weather as well. That'll move on through, though, within a 20, 30-minute time period. What we're concerned with is when the storm itself begins to make its landfall, there'll be much more intense rain, very close together, and the high winds are certainly going to be that concern, as well as we're looking for probably some spots seeing that very max of 85 miles an hour. That's going to be pretty much north of where it makes its landfall. So if it hits Matagorda Bay straight on, or just like we're thinking it will, as you go straight up towards College Station, any of this area will have those high winds, but the official track does curve a little bit just to the east of College Station. And of course, those folks along the coast are going to have to deal with the worst of everything, including the storm surge. If we're further inland, you know, storm surge isn't something that's going to impact you. But there is going to be enough speed here by the time we get to Monday evening. This tropical storm still will be moving on. So here's the storm surge warning that's in place right now. 3 to 5 feet, maybe even isolated areas as high as 6 feet of water could be happening. Plus, of course, you get all the wave action that's associated with that as well. So it's not like a river or a flooding that happens in a neighborhood sometimes where the water just kind of rises and goes back down. And of course, that makes an awful mess and all sorts of problems. With storm surge, you also have waves that are mixed in with that so that it's hammering against any kind of structures. You get currents that are built in when debris gets moved in. So basically, it's like moving water, not quite a river, but it becomes more of a moving water threat as well. So all the way around Galveston Bay is going to be a concern. So if you're in Chambers County, even though you're a little bit further away from that actual landfall, be taking your precautions and thinking about, can I stay where I am for a limited amount of time with the fact that some of these low-lying roads are going to get water on top of them. Moving a little further inland, the tropical storm warning is in place. Remember, a tropical storm can have 70-mile-an-hour winds, all right? So sometimes we think a tropical storm, we don't think of a winds being an issue, but you could get 60 or 70-mile-an-hour winds within a tropical storm. And when I show you our expected winds here in just a minute, you're going to see some of that a little further inland than you want to see it. Hurricane warning, of course, where you get the 74-mile-an-hour winds or higher, that is going to be a lot closer to the coast. Now, these are gusts that I'm showing you. The other winds we've been talking about have been sustained winds, but here's an idea of some of these wind gusts that we're going to be looking at. Where that landfall taking place, this brown shading here is at 50 to 60 mile an hour winds. We see some gusts reaching all the way inland, closer into the downtown Houston area, Rosenberg, Sugar Land. We're looking down into Matagorda County as well. So lots of opportunities for winds to create problems. So the biggest threat here with these winds, I think, is going to be the power loss. We're going to have some power lines that get knocked down or trees that fall on the power lines. So that's going to create a more of a long-term problem. As long as you're staying in a fairly sheltered place that's secure, then that's not going to be as much of an issue. Here's the Futurecast, though. This is the exclusive Fox model. You're going to see that rain coming in and wrapped around. Quite a bit of rainfall that's going to be happening here as well. Generally speaking, we're still looking for that 5 to 10 inches of rain happening in a 12-hour period, because by the time we get to Tuesday morning very early, we've got Beryl all the way up and out of the state of Texas practically when we get into Tuesday morning, for sure, later in the morning hours. So this rain's going to happen fast, and so we need to make sure that we're getting ready for that. So overall, as I wrap up here, we're going to be looking at Beryl getting stronger. It doesn't have a lot of time, so we won't see it get dramatically stronger, but it is going to get stronger, and I think it's going to be enough that it will be a hurricane at its landfall. Those winds will spread further inland, and of course it's the rain, lots of rain, impacting more people than perhaps the storm surge and even the winds do. So be prepared for a loss of power. Be prepared to not be wandering around and driving into roads that have water on them. Stay in place. Monday is just sort of a shelter-in-place kind of day for all of us, because we're definitely expecting Category 1 hurricane to be making a landfall in our area. We'll continue to keep you updated with the press conferences from our public leaders and officials. Also, at the top of every hour, I'll be back here giving you the latest information, and of course, plan on being here for Fox 26 News at 5 p.m.